Join us and help us continue to support the many talented people of our community. Learn how to get your business highlighted on La Crosse Local. Go to lacrosselocal.com and click on Advertise. The Pump House Regional Arts Center offers theatrical performances in partnership with Gray Area Productions. Local, talented artists producing thought-provoking and transformative theater with compelling stories and complex characters. Check out the calendar of performances and pick up your tickets at thepumphouse.org. Drive, walk, or take a carriage ride through Riverside Park for Rotary Lights. Over 3 million lights sparkling on the Mississippi now through New Year's Eve. A stunning holiday light show with a mission to feed the hungry. Admission is free, but a cash or food donation is appreciated. Visit rotarylights.org to learn more. Join us at the La Crosse Winter Roots Festival, Saturday, February 11th at the La Crosse Center. We'll celebrate Wisconsin favorites in music, cuisine, local beer, and spirits. Grab tickets at lacrosselocal.com. We talk with the folks at Grow, a nonprofit on a mission to connect youth with healthy food and nature through hands-on garden-based experiences. We chat about the origins of the organization, programming, how kids experience change through the gardening, and where people can follow along. You can find more conversations, food reviews, weekend picks, live music, and events on our website, lacrosselocal.com. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brent.
And this is La Crosse Local.
My name is Kari Bursagle-Braley. I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but spent middle school and high school in West Salem, Wisconsin. And my connection to hands-on gardening, my grandma lived on a farm, so we spent many summers and that kind of thing going to the farm. And my aunt was a big gardener, so I spent time with her in the garden. And then we also growing up did have a large garden that we helped my parents with. And I probably would not at that point have ever thought that I would become passionate about gardening, but in my adulthood, I have found that it is a passion and I've loved sharing it with my own children. I am the executive director of Grow La Crosse, and I have been with this since its inception 10 years ago. So I've seen the organization from its very start to now, and I've taught in the program, but then now I'm overseeing.
And I am Bonnie Martin, and I am Grow's Communication and Outreach Coordinator. I was born in Winona, Minnesota, but spent most of my early years in between Menominee and Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And my connection with hands-on gardening and learning, really my dad was an avid gardener growing up, and I grew up part of a 4-H family, really focused on hands-on learning. So when my kids got into elementary school and had a school garden program, just being involved as a parent volunteer and part of the PTO, I got to know that program, and it turned to be Grow. And so when I went back into the workforce, as my kids were all in school, I was lucky enough to be able to join the team as part of the staff.
What was the idea or the impetus for Grow La Crosse in the first place? I mean, it's been around for about 10 years, correct?
Correct. Yeah. 2012, spring of 2012 is kind of when it all began. It really began as a conversation between myself and my friend Ann Seehafer. And we had both been new to the area. My husband and I and our daughter had moved here in 2010 from Atlanta. And my husband was starting a professorship at Viterbo. And at that point, I had been teaching for about 12 years and decided when we moved here that I would have my second child, stay home with my children. So in 2012, Ann and I had, young children. Our oldest had been starting school. And so we were having a conversation in her living room and talking about how our children had started school and how much lack of a control there was in terms of our children's choices at school in terms of what they were eating. And which was fine, but I think we also had been really intentional when they were younger to provide lots of different varieties and some healthy food and that kind of thing. Not that we were perfect, but really tried to kind of ground them in that. And so I think we, from our own personal journeys with food, knew how much for ourselves and for our children, how much food affects or affected our learning, our emotions, our behavior. And even as professionals, me as a teacher and was a social worker. And so we saw that in the children that we worked with as well. And so, we had all this extra time in our hands. No, not really. But with that conversation, we just were like, okay, what is it that we can do as parents in the school district to kind of help support the healthy food kind of movement within the schools? And we saw that they were making some efforts that, school nutrition, as far as lunch program, they were making some headway with that, but there were limitations. And then also, families providing snacks and that kind of thing, and just lots of processed foods and that kind of thing. So we're trying to figure out how to kind of make the most influence with that. So we decided to kind of bring together parents we knew, public health folks, the medical community, teachers, principals, to kind of see if there was interest from other people in doing something about this. And we also did research just about what was going on around the country with this kind of thing. And we knew we had to change the way that children saw healthy foods. We knew that it was one thing to put healthy food on a child's lunch tray. And there was evidence that, kids were seeing that if they didn't have experience with it, they weren't going to try it and they weren't going to eat it and it would go in the trash. So we knew they had to have some kind of hands-on experience. And so through our research, we just found that school gardens would be a great way to kind of address that and have students be involved with planting seeds, tending to them and watching them grow, harvesting, and then seeing that go into the salad bar or seeing that prepared in a taste test and that kind of thing. And so we felt that was the way to go. So we decided to follow that path, and we talked with State Road Elementary, was actually our pilot school, and there was real interest there. And so we got to work on doing some fundraising, and then we helped build a new garden there. From there, we knew that it had to be more. We'd seen some beautiful gardens in the area that had been started at schools by very passionate teachers or staff, but that just had gone, that just had died when that staff person would go. And so we knew that there had to be sustainability with it. And so we needed to build that in. And there needed to be more to it than just having a pretty garden.
So what is some of the programming you offer? Did it quickly kind of like right in the beginning, you get the gardens, you have those, you have some sustainability with that.
Sure.
Was it just real easy to add these farm experiences, cooking classes? Also, I've been to a few of the fundraisers. Was that something that was just a quick succession, or did it kind of take time to build?
Yeah. A lot of this took some time to build. We were gardening with children and providing hands-on experiences, but at the same time, we were doing lots of research and just to kind of figure out kind of where to go with this. And so we surrounded ourselves with people maybe who knew kind of how to do some of this. We started with fundraising. We talked right away to Anna Skemp, who owns Deep Roots Community Farm, and we knew that there was something there in terms of providing not only school garden experiences, but this beautiful farm that not too far outside of town. And so working really closely with her to also provide meaningful experiences out there. So really in terms of programming, we provide hands-on gardening experiences in schools, but then we also provide these field trips and farm camps out at Deep Roots Community Farm. We have done in the past some cooking classes within the community. COVID, we kind of stopped with some of that just because of COVID, but hope to kind of get back into that. But along the way, we definitely ran into roadblocks and red tape. When you're dealing with bigger entities like a school district and that kind of thing, there are And rightly so, there are hoops to kind of jump through. And lots of people to go through. So there were times when we felt like, do we have the energy for this? Because it was a lot of work and we were really just, volunteering our time. But I think once we gained the support and the trust of those schools, those administrators, those teachers, schools started to reach out to us, wanting to create a garden. And so we really felt that momentum, especially I think after a couple of years in, where we felt like this was something that was really supported within this community. And so from there, it's not been easy, but it's definitely been smoother sailing.
What I notice is, our kids have their own plots. So every spring, a few days, there's activity related to, planting vegetables, picking out flowers that seems to, really kind of enliven them after a long, hard winter in Wisconsin. Have you have an example, or have you seen kids change from this experience in some ways?
Yes. And I guess the fortunate thing is, because I've been with this for 10 years, it has been neat because, especially with my time doing programming within several of the schools and the gardens, I was able to see students from kindergarten through fifth grade, and I still run into those students even now when they are in middle school, high school. And so I have seen firsthand that effect that it's had on children. And I think the biggest thing, yes, we hear that they are remembering lots of things that we've done in the garden. So there's definitely that, but we definitely have also witnessed seeing changes in behaviors of children. We've seen that the garden can really provide a calming space. And I remember a lot of times at Hamilton Soda Elementary, that original garden was just off of the playground. And so sometimes we'd have the garden open for recess time. And it was amazing to see how many kiddos would come in just wanting to help. And there were a lot of children who felt overwhelmed during recess time, that it was maybe a place they didn't really connect with others. It was an overwhelming experience. So to come in, be hands-on, helping in the garden really was a safe space. So I saw that a lot in many children, that it really was calming and a safe spot. Also, I had teachers say the student is so different when they're out in the garden in terms of their ability to kind of focus on tasks, get along with others. So I've seen that along the way as well.
I could see how that could be helpful, especially for those kids that are on the playground, just, sitting by themselves, to offer up an opportunity for them to get involved in something like this. It just sounds, personally, I have that experience with some of my children, kind of getting engaged in that. It seems like a great opportunity for those kids. So what's coming up? What are some of your big events throughout the year?
Twice a year, we do a kids cooking challenge. That's something that's open to the public. 18 and under can enter into that, and they get mystery ingredients that they just take home. And those ingredients, we hope, introduce something new to them, something maybe that they haven't cooked with or even tasted in the past. That's been very popular. It's something that we started during COVID lockdowns as an event that allowed families to do something hands-on, but in the safety of their own homes. And the format has just been so popular that we have stuck with it. So we do that in the spring and in the fall. In January, we'll start offering field trips to our greenhouse space on Western Technical College campus. So those will be field trip experiences that teachers can register for their classes. We'll also have open gardens during the summertime. So those are just open to anyone twice a week, where they can come in and have some structured learning, but also just time to explore the gardens and maybe take home some harvest to try themselves. We'll have our farm camps during the summer, and then we offer our garden lessons programs at schools in the spring and in the fall. So we're really moving more towards year-round programming with the ability to offer, greenhouse experiences even during the winter. So kind of all year round, we stay quite busy.
Checking out your website, how can people, the public or businesses get involved? Can, people volunteer their time, money, or how does that work?
Yes, we accept both. volunteer time and funds. So there's a volunteer page on our website. So we have different volunteer opportunities throughout the summer. There's a lot of volunteer opportunities. If someone is interested in just learning more about gardening, or perhaps they love gardening and they just don't have a space of their own, or they just can't get enough, we have opportunities. People can come, if they want to do just a few times during the summer, or if they want to come once or twice a week. We're really flexible in that way. We also just have opportunities to support our programs. For example, our Kids Cooking Challenge, we try to offer that as just kind of pay as you can. So if families are able to cover the cost of their ingredients, they're able to do that. But we also rely on the support of businesses and individuals to help sponsor young chefs so that we can provide the experience for free if that's what a family needs. All of those opportunities are posted on our website for anyone who wants more information.
So it also looks like you just post up here some recipes for folks to try out. People can sign up for a newsletter.
Yeah. So as Kari mentioned, during our garden lessons, there's always some taste test component, and those seem to be the most exciting and popular days. So people might not realize that kids do indeed get very excited to eat vegetables, just might need to be the right format. So we do share the recipes from those taste tests on our webpage, because I know even from my own experience, my pickiest eater enjoyed some spinach during a garden lesson where they incorporated spinaches into smoothies, and then he came home and wanted to do that. So we post those recipes onto our website. So if kids are coming home and telling their families about something they tried in the garden that they'd like to experience at home, it's easy for people to find those recipes to recreate the experience and hopefully incorporate it more regularly into their diets.
What was it recently? Didn't you guys just send something home, a recipe? What was that again? Because we just made it and they actually ate it.
Good.
What was it?
Superfood garden salsa.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah.
We made a little hotter version, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you could alter
happened.
that one. Yeah. We incorporated kale into salsa, and the kids first had to search the gardens to try and figure out what kind of a superfood you could add to salsa that was growing in the gardens. And then once they figured it out, they all got pretty excited to try it.
People want to find out more about you guys or follow along, what's the best avenue? The website, social media? Where's it at?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, our social media is your best way to get regular updates. But to get more in-depth updates, sign up for our newsletter as well. So we have an e-newsletter that goes out generally twice a month. So anytime there's an opportunity to sign up for volunteering or an event like the Kids Cooking Challenge, Great Grow Get Together is a big celebration of school garden education and fundraising event. So to find details or more details about that, please sign up for our newsletter, but also follow along on social media, Facebook and Instagram.
Lacrosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you'd like to share with us? Message us on Facebook at Lacrosse Local. Find out more about us at lacrosselocal.com, and you can subscribe to the Lacrosse Local Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We appreciate it.